Hi, my name is Jen, and I'd like to welcome you to my garden and to my patio and the water feature, which were built by Bates Landscaping. My story into gardening comes from my family. So my mom and her mom were very much into gardening. They loved flowers. My mom was a biologist and an artist, and so that feature is very large into the upbringing I had. And I spent my youth helping her in the garden and digging garden beds for her. That was my first job. and um, and I would go to the nursery with her, and we'd pick out flowers to put in the garden every year. That was a very large part of how we spent time together. And about 6 years ago, well, let me back up. So when I bought this house, I immediately started putting plants in the garden and had built up a pretty good, robust collection of flowers. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, I met my first monarch butterfly. And I raised this caterpillar out of curiosity. From I found an egg on a milkweed that was going to get mowed down. So I picked the leaf and I raised this caterpillar. And out of that experience, I learned all about butterflies and what they need. And I realized that my garden wasn't meeting those needs. And so I dug everything up out of my garden, and the next year started buying native plants and started building my garden up for native plants. And over the years, I've learned more and more about how important that is for butterflies and for the birds. The birds need those caterpillars, and the caterpillars need these plants. And then I have been wanting to put more and more into my yard to help create a more natural landscape to support the animals. And water feature was a big part of that. My my upbringing as a child, at school, we had a creek that ran through the playground, and and my friends and I would go out and play in the creek in the playground, and then I would go over to my friend's house and we'd play in her creek. And wherever I went, I would be playing in the creek. But we didn't have a creek at home, and I always wanted to have a water feature at home, and that just was not something we could do where my parents were. So when I had the chance, and we did the patio last year, I saved this place for a water feature, not really knowing what I would put there. And and then this year I started talking to Melissa about it, and I had a vision for a little creek because that's what I always loved to see. That's where I love to be. But I knew I couldn't build it myself, and so that's why I brought Bates back to put in the water feature. And Melissa took my idea and she turned it into this beautiful waterfall with a little run. And so there's a great little creek here now that I can sit with and watch. And I just love to come out here and sit with my creek. And I start most of my important projects by coming out here and sitting with the water for a little bit. And that's how I procrastinate, or I come out here to think, come out with the dogs and just sit and relax. And we have a great, we have a great time. And it's really, I wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest, with the water. But it really is just perfect because it used to be I would come out here and I'd hear the road going by my house, or all kinds of noise from the neighbors. And now I come out here and I hear the water, and it's just really beautiful, and it's really added a wonderful element to my garden. So thank you, Bates. Thank you, Melissa and Conrado, and I just really love it.